Jacobs?
Hey,
got the
there
sunglasses on? Of course you do, bro. How you doing, man?
Good to see you, man.
Yeah, good to see you. How was the flight?
It was easy breezy. Chris Jacobs, and I've been with the Discovery and Velocity family for about 14 or 15 years now. I'm up here at Graveyard Carz because Mark, of course, is the Mopar guru, and I want him to do some work on my 68 GTX, and I'm also a big fan of Graveyard Carz, the TV show, so I figured bring him my car. Who better to do it for me?
You know, I'd be lying if I didn't say that I was a little bit starstruck and that it a little bit surreal having Chris Jacobs out. I mean, he spent so many years on the show with Chip Foose, a talented guy, right? Mopar lover, and like I say, I've met him many times, but when it comes to your abode, you become much more humble. And I'm pretty thrilled and I'm pretty flattered that he chose us to do the work on his car.
Look at that.
There's your baby. It's back. I told you it got here safe yesterday.
So good to see you again.
Yeah.
I've had my 68 GTX for about, I'd say probably 17 years. I bought it from one of my best friends. Once I had done overhauling for a few years, you know, I thought that I would like to have a Foose paint job on the GTX. So we brought it down to Mitch Lanzini's shop. Chip put his fade on it, did the graphics. Mitch shot the black. We put it back together, and that's pretty much what you're seeing here. It looks pretty good for the trauma that it's been through recently. Yeah. About a year and a half ago, I unfortunately had an engine fire, and it pretty much destroyed the carbs. It destroyed all the rubber in the engine, all the plastic. Fortunately, the paint was not damaged. It didn't harm the fenders at all. It's the thing I was most concerned of. So yeah, you can see that all the fire damage is mainly contained to the fiberglass hood. Luckily, my detailer was with me the day that the fire happened, and he was standing there with a 100-gallon compressed water tank and just completely put the fire out.
That's all the white, crusty stuff?
Well, and then we also hit it with a ton of extinguishers too.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean
well, that could have been a lot worse because really, I mean, I see rubber that's not even melted.
Yeah, the carbs are fried. You know, the overflow bottle's fried. Looks like the radiator hose is definitely damaged, but
you know, it's actually very fortunate there's not going to be a lot of body and paint work. I mean, really, it was kind of compartmentalized to under the hood. Damaged the hood, but we're going to be changing that out anyway. So yeah, it could have been a lot worse, but the overall, not very much body and paint.
I turned lemons into lemonade. And I said, all right,
it's what we do as
we
car
can
guys.
Either spend a lot of time and money and effort trying to rebuild this tired old 440.
Which isn't the numbers.
Which it's clear. Not numbers matching. This came out of a 70 New Yorker.
Okay, so it's not even an HP block.
Not exactly.
There's no loss
There's no qualms about pulling that thing out and starting fresh. And then when I saw your CUDA at SEMA last year, and that beautiful conversion, 392 conversion that you did, that almost immediately popped into my mind. Like, that's what this car
for it, right?
deserves. Exactly.
It needs to come out to be detailed anyway and painted and stuff like that. And I know you got some tricks you're going to do, but I think that's a great. I'm in love with that. That car runs and drives beautiful. It's nimble. It's lightweight. It actually weighs 500 pounds less with a 392 Hemi in it than it did with a 440
That's
in it.
Awesome. So Mark, I know that one of the things we kind of touched on when we talked on the phone was what we were going to do with the hood, if we wanted to go with a fiberglass liftoff hood again or go back to a more traditional hinged hood.
When I originally talked to Chris, I told him I wasn't a fan of the 6-pack hood on a 68, couldn't even come on it, and it shouldn't have come on a 69 unless it was a 69 and a half, 812 car. So I said, listen, I'm willing to do some things. We'll get together with Mopar, we'll get the 392, we'll do all that trick stuff, but I need that car to look a little bit more like an original 1968 GTX. Well, you know me, right? So
you want to go traditional, of course.
Yeah.
And I think that would be great too, especially because if the car is going to be displayed at SEMA in the Mopar booth, you know, we don't want to have to continually lift the hood off and put it back down.
For a lack of many other reasons, I agree with that completely. So for practicality, you're going to have people wanting to see in there all the time.
Yeah.
And he had no problem with that. He has no objection, which is a good thing for me, because frankly, I'm not sure I would have wanted to put the 6-pack hood back on it. In the time frame we got to get this thing ready.
Right.
Certainly the main thing is the drivetrain and make sure it's a good solid car for you. We got a ton of things going on around Graveyard Carz, but the fact is when Chris came and said what the actual end goal for the car was, that it was for such a great cause, I mean, it's what we do. We should pay it forward.
What my plan for the GTX is at the Barrett-Jackson Scottsdale 2019 auction. This car is going to roll across the auction block with the proceeds going to the Special Operations Warrior Foundation.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah.
And they ensure that the families of fallen warriors are taken care of, that their kids go to school. So I think it's going to have a very happy ending.
I love it.
When you guys are done with this car.
So the plan is, once we do the paint work under the hood, so all the body work, the welding up, the replacement of the apron, all that stuff's done, we finish it off with a base coat, clear coat black, because the car is black. Then with that clean canvas, so to speak, Chris is going to have his friend Mike, the airbrush artist, I think he was even on some of the overhauling shows, come up and do some really cool homage type painting to the car. So that's going to be neat to meet him. I have heard a lot about him, so it'll be fortunate for me because I actually have my little dead wagon, the 64 Dodge A100, that I'm going to want some really cool airbrush work on, so might be able to network a little bit there.
I got to tell you, Mark, I'm a fan of the show, obviously, so it's really cool to be here in the Graveyard Carz garage, but I'm a junkyard junkie, so what I really want to see is the graveyard outside.
You want to see the real live graveyard. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, there's over 100 of them out there. Wing cars, hemi cars, 6-pack cars. You sure you want to go out there?
I'm positive.
You got your wallet?
No.
It's not a requirement, but I'll bring a pin and an IOU.
Just put it on my bill.
Let's do it.